Virgo, there's an intensity building around you, and I want to describe it carefully before anything else, because intensity gets romanticized easily, gets wrapped in language that makes it sound like an unambiguous good. And I think you deserve a more honest description than that one that holds both what's genuinely compelling about this energy and what's worth paying attention to. Someone is feeling a lot about you specifically in a way that has been accumulating, gathering force, gathering pressure over a period of time that's longer than you probably know. And the specific quality of what they're carrying has reached a kind of threshold. The containing of it has become more difficult than it was. Things that were manageable before are becoming less so. And I want to stay with that word managing for a moment, because there's a difference between feeling something deeply and being unable to regulate how you express it. Between genuine passion and the kind of intensity that has less to do with the other person and more to do with what's happening internally in the one who's feeling it, that distinction matters. And I want to hold it honestly throughout this reading. Let me describe what this person's experience has actually been like. There's a specific quality to feeling strongly about someone who doesn't yet fully know the extent of it, a particular pressure that builds when something significant lives only in the interior, when every interaction carries a weight the other person can't see, when ordinary moments, a look, a sentence, a laugh, something entirely unremarkable land with an intensity that isn't visible from the outside. That's been this person's experience. For a while, every interaction with you carrying more weight than the surface of it contains, every ordinary exchange happening against the backdrop of something much larger that they haven't found the way to bring forward. And the accumulation of that has its own kind of pressure. Hold on, because there's something I want to examine carefully here. Passion is real. This person's feeling is real. I'm not going to minimize that. But I want to ask a question about it that I think matters. What do they actually know about you? Not what they've observed, not the version of you they've encountered in whatever context this has been, but you, the full, specific, complicated, particular you, the one with the interior landscape we've been exploring across all these readings, the one with the specific needs and the hard-won clarity and the precise understanding of what she requires from connection. Do they know that version? Or do they know the version that's available in the context they've had access to? Because passion for someone you fully know is one thing. Passion for someone you've partially encountered, for a version of someone that is real but incomplete, can look identical from the outside and be something quite different. Intensity of feeling doesn't necessarily correlate with depth of knowing. And depth of knowing is what actually matters for anything real to be built on. There's an image, a pressure system building, the specific meteorological phenomenon of something accumulating in the atmosphere, building charge, gathering the conditions for release. And from inside the building, from inside ordinary life, ordinary days, you can sometimes feel it before you can see it. A quality in the air, a slight charge. Something that hasn't announced itself yet, but is making itself felt in the peripheral ways. That's what's around you right now. And weather, when it arrives, can be many things. It can be the rain that was needed, that breaks a heat that had been going on too long, that settles dust, that produces the specific, earthy, everything is clearer quality of air after a good storm. Or it can be more disruptive than that. More than the situation was ready to absorb. The same pressure system, different outcomes depending on conditions. What determines which one is not the intensity of the weather. It's what it meets. The more I sit with this, the more I keep finding something about what about to explode actually means in this context. And I want to be precise because explode can mean different things. For some of you, this is the beautiful kind of breaking open. Someone whose feelings have been at the surface for long enough that containment has become impossible. And what releases when it releases is genuine, warm, specific, and something you're actually ready to receive. For others of you, this is something that requires more navigation than celebration. Someone whose intensity has been building without adequate self-examination, whose feeling, while real, has been given more attention than the question of what they're actually going to do with it, whose passion exists somewhat independently of a clear, honest, this is who I am and this is what I can offer, understanding of themselves in relation to you. Both versions produce an explosion. The difference is in what you're receiving when it arrives. I want to say something about passion specifically, because we tend to associate it with love, with depth of feeling, with the specific quality of someone who cares enough to be moved. And it is those things. But passion is also, and this is the part that gets left out, a quality of the person feeling it as much as a quality of what they feel it about. Some people are passionate by nature, feel everything at high volume, move through their interior life at an intensity that produces this kind of accumulation around whatever currently has their focus. And that quality, that high volume feeling is compelling, is genuinely moving to be on the receiving end of, produces something in you when you feel it directed toward you. But it's worth asking, is this passion specifically for you as you actually are? Or is this passion in a person who happens to have focused it in your direction? The first one is rare and real and worth receiving. The second one is real too, but is more about them than it is about you, and receiving it as though it's specifically about you when it's primarily about their own capacity for intensity can lead somewhere that costs more than it gives. Wait, I want to add something here, because I've been analytical about this energy and I don't want to be so cautious that I miss what's also genuinely present. There is something real here, something that has specific content that is at its core actually about you and not just about this person's capacity for feeling. Something that has been developing with enough attention to who you specifically are, that it has a particular quality, a you-ness to it that generic passion doesn't have. They've been paying attention to the specific things, the qualities that aren't obvious, the particular way you move through your life that requires genuine proximity to notice. And that attention, that specific, directed, U-shaped attention is real. And it matters. I just don't want the intensity of the delivery to prevent you from doing the discernment that the situation deserves. There's something about what happens when this releases when the building pressure finally finds its expression that I want to try to describe, it's going to be more than you expected, not in a threatening way, in the way of something that has been accumulating for longer than you knew, that contains more than the surface of your recent interactions would have suggested was possible. That reveals a depth of attention and feeling that might actually catch you off guard. Because you may not have known how visible you were, how present you were in someone's interior experience, how much weight the ordinary moments between you have been carrying on their side. And that revelation, the specific experience of discovering that you've mattered more and more specifically than you realized, is going to produce something in you, some version of being seen that you weren't fully prepared for. I want to talk about what you do with the intensity when it arrives. Because Virgo's instinct in the presence of big emotion from someone else is to become the regulated one, the grounded one, the steady presence that holds the space while the other person moves through their feeling. And that instinct is loving, is one of the genuine gifts you offer. But I want to add something to it. You're also allowed to be moved. Not swept away, that's different, but moved. Allowed to let what someone brings toward you actually land, to feel it as the significant thing it is, rather than immediately stepping into the containing role. Because containment, while generous, can also be a form of distance, can be the way you stay behind the glass even when someone is being genuinely real in front of you. If what arrives is real, let it reach you, not without discernment, alongside discernment. Both. There's something about what this passion is asking of you that I want to name. Not what it's demanding, what it's asking, reciprocal honesty. The specific invitation of someone being very present with what they feel, the implicit question underneath all the intensity is some version of, is there something here for me? Is what I feel landing on something real? Am I feeling this alone, or is there something between us? And you have an answer to that. It might be complicated. It might not map perfectly onto what they're bringing. It might need time to fully articulate. It might be yes, but not like this, or yes, but I need different things than what you're offering, or yes, and I've been trying not to acknowledge it, but there's an answer. And the passion coming toward you, the explosion of feeling about to break the surface, is going to create a moment where your answer becomes relevant. Not demanded, relevant. And knowing what your answer is before that moment arrives is the most useful preparation available to you. The last thing, someone has a lot of feeling for you. Real feeling, accumulated feeling, the kind that doesn't release easily and isn't released casually. And that's worth something, worth genuine acknowledgement, worth receiving with the respect that someone's honesty about their interior deserves. And what it's worth to you specifically, how it fits with what you actually need, whether this particular person's particular passion is something your life can genuinely receive and return. That's a separate question, one that deserves your honest attention, because you've done enough work on yourself at this point through everything this period has asked of you to know the difference between being moved by someone's intensity and actually wanting what the intensity is. attach to, feel the passion, and then know your own. What you feel, what you want, what this specific person with their specific qualities and their specific way of being in the world actually produces in you when you're being fully honest with yourself. That knowing is what determines everything that happens next, not their explosion. Your truth. If something in this touched something real, if a moment landed somewhere honest, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what resonated, even just a few words. It means more than you know.